Hello and welcome to the Voices of a Vic. If you're watching YouTube, Mike's set up a second podcast and you've just had the intro for that podcast. So I do massively apologise. I've planned an intro for this one and I've kind of been upstaged by Mike and this Chasing the Finish podcast, which is a running podcast that you can find on Spotify and other podcast platforms. So we'll take a breath and we'll go again, Joe. Pretend that never happened. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Voices of the Vic, the podcast that brings you all the latest from Vicarage Road. I'm your host, Ben Ayton, and tonight I'm joined by Joe Thomas as we look forward to what promises to be a big season for the Hornets. As always, we'll check in to see how my co-host is. Joe, how are you doing, mate? Did you enjoy that little intro from Mike Duffy? He's not here, but he's gate crashing our podcast.
Do you know what? When the music started, I actually thought that it was about to be the Christmas music and it was about to be the Christmas intro. And I thought, why is that coming up? But yeah, that was a great way. And cheers for that, Mike. Disappointing. But no, I'm all good, mate. It's been nice to have a bit of a break from the football. Been plenty of other sport going on. Don't know if you've seen any of the FIFA World Club Cup that's been going on. I've only caught probably two games, maybe, I think. But yeah, dross crowds and a dross tournament by all accounts. But yeah, no, all good, mate. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I haven't bothered with the Club World Cup. I've really switched off from Watford over summer. I kind of lost interest towards the end of the season. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to switch off from football completely. I need that reset, and I feel so much better mentally as well. I'm good. For everyone who's got me on social media, you would have seen the good news of my wife Kate. She's beginning the all clear from her breast cancer battle. So obviously we're very over the moon and relieved that everything's all gone in the right direction. So thank you very much for everyone's support over the last 7 months. Still some hurdles to come across, like radiotherapy and immunotherapy. But yeah, getting there slowly. She's a fighter. So yeah, she's definitely kicked the arse of this cancer. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty good, mate. Got into my running, found it's really helped with my mental health. I did like a 5.5 mile run last week. I sound like Mike now. This should be a running podcast. I do apologise, everyone. If you're not into running, maybe switch over to like the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes boys, because I imagine they're not going to be talking about much running on that podcast. Although Justin and Pete or Carl's going to be slating me after this. But we all know that they enjoy a kebab or two. But yeah, we will jump into all things Watford now. So coming up in today's episode, we're going to be talking about preparations for the new season, what we've seen so far from the squad and from Paolo Pezzolano as he gears up for his first pre-season at Watford Football Club. We'll be taking a look at the upcoming pre-season friendlies, who's likely to feature and who we're hoping to see in the terms of style or fitness and early signs of identities. There's also going to be plenty of movement in the transfer market. So we'll break down the new signings, the departures, and where the squad still needs to be strengthened as we close in to that opening day. With the fixtures being released tomorrow as well. So me and Joe will talk very briefly towards the end about that. But yeah, plenty to talk about, plenty of debate. So whether you're listening at home or you're on the go or counting down the days to that start of the season, thank you for joining us on the Voice of the Vic. And we'll now get started with the new season's preparations, Joe, for the upcoming 2016 26 season. I've gone back in time. It's like I've gone back to a future mode. Joe, what's your expectations for the new season and feelings going into the season?
I think you know what, it's probably going to be a little bit better than last season. Obviously, when we did the I think the start of the season pod last year and we did our predictions for the season, we all obviously predicted us to be just in and around sort of relegation. I think this year, with the fact that kind of Gino has indicated that he's going all in on Watford and obviously trying to sell his majority share in Udinese to, by the sounds of it, free up some funds to kind of charge us back up to the Premier League. I can't see it happening in its first season. If it does, then obviously it will be a miracle and incredible. However, I do think with a few more good signings and some championship experience, I do think that we could potentially finish in the top 10 this season and actually have a strong season and be closer to the playoffs than what we were this year. That being said, like I say, with it, depending on who we actually get in before the end of the window, I know you've obviously got some information that's going to be shared throughout the pod regarding transfers and stuff. If that's positive stuff and that's stuff that's definite and good stuff that's going to be happening in and among the club, then who knows? This guy's got 3 promotions, albeit, as I call them, nothing leagues. You can't really say he's done it at top level. However, he's done it and he's got that experience. He knows how to get out of divisions. So who knows? It's kind of one of those unknowns, isn't it? We've just got to kind of take each game as it comes and just give him support, I guess, haven't we?
No, definitely. And going back to what you were saying about the sale of Udinese, from what I've been told from sources at the training ground, that there was rumours that the deal had fallen through, and it went very quiet. But what I've been told is that the deal's progressing well, and Gino Pozzo is still looking to sell Udinese. And does that give you more excitement for the season coming ahead, Joe? As in, he'll be prioritising Watford more. It seems that way at the moment with how the transfer window has worked in Watford's favour, as in how quickly we've got people through the door.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is Gino is a money man, isn't he? He's always been. You've always been able to tell that he wants to make money, like through selling players and stuff. The big thing in what I saw a few days ago was they were doing a comparison in Serie A for Inter and what they earned last season. Bearing in mind, Inter nearly won a treble and came quite close and had a very strong season. Their earnings last season as a club was 81.9 million euros. Obviously, Southampton finished bottom of the Premier League and had an awful, awful season, and they ended up earning 130 million. So you can clearly see that the Premier League is where the money is. Obviously, Udinese are nowhere near the level Inter are, so they wouldn't have made anywhere near that. And if Watford get to the Premier League, it's going to put money in his pocket. It makes perfect sense that he sells Udinese at this point. He's owned them for 39 years. That's a long, long time. He's probably gone as far as he can with them. And he probably thinks that, if I can get Watford into the Premier League and give it a good go, I can actually earn some serious money at this point, because the Premier League, the money that's being earned, that obviously Sky are getting nearly 100 more games this season. I don't know if you know, but all the games are being shared between TNT and Sky this year. So there's no other broadcasters involved. So the money that's probably being shared out among the clubs is huge. So, yeah, it does excite me a little bit that he's putting everything into Watford, because I genuinely, regardless of whether he wants to do it for money purposes or not, Watford, we want to see Watford do well. We nearly got into Europe once. We had a good cup run and got to a cup final. We want to see Watford win a trophy. And if him selling Udinese and ploughing money and stuff into the club does that, then I'm all for it.
No, definitely. And going off my expectations for the season, I'm not going to lie. Towards the end of last season, I was kind of dreading this season, and we've had that podcast at the end of the season, and we've all got a lot of things off our chests of the sacking of Tom Cleverley. And don't get me wrong, I still believe it was a very harsh treatment for Tom Cleverley. But I've reset. I've changed my season ticket next season as well, so I'm not even in the Rookery. I've moved to the Elton John stand, and I'm just looking at things differently for this season. And with us making signings early doors, the talk of Gino selling Udinese. The other things I've heard from behind the scenes that I'll disclose later on in this podcast, I'm actually feeling pretty positive for the season, and it's kind of bringing back the excitement of the 14-15 season. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about that later on. But for some reason, I'm just feeling excited, and I don't know where that's coming from, Joe. I might be just insane or just on top of the moon because of all the news we've had lately, but I might be a little bit deluded at all. But from things I've seen and heard, it seems very positive behind the scenes, and it's all going in the right direction. And we've all wanted a positive spin at Watford Football Club, and we've kind of not had it. We've had difficult seasons, and the fans have started turning against the owner. But I do feel like it's starting to turn maybe a little bit backwards by the sale of Udinese to focus on Watford, and that's what Watford fans have wanted. We didn't want to be second best, and equally Udinese didn't want to be second best to Watford when we spent so many years in the Premier League. And it's just about being number one. But I feel like we're getting that back now, and look, time will tell over the next couple of weeks or so with like the transfer window and how we start in the season as well. But I do feel it's a little bit encouraging for the season coming up. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching at the moment as well. I'm not hosting tonight, so I can't upload any of the comments on here. But James from Watford Way says hello. Good to see you back. Good to see you as well, James. Hope you're well. Jess is back as well. Ian's back. Also, Josh says, great news to hear, Ben. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you. I really appreciate that, mate. Equally, Russ Putnell said, glad to hear your wife has been given all clear. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for all the nice messages. So yeah, let's have a look quickly at the upcoming pre-season games, because we're talking about the season preparation. So let's dive into who we're playing pre-season and what they really tell us. So at the moment, from my understanding, there's 4 pre-season games, Joe. There's Boreham Wood away on Tuesday, the 8th of July. That's pretty bog standard. We've done that quite often. We seem to alternate Boreham Wood and Stevenage, don't we, Joe? So Boreham Wood's been penciled in for the 8th of July. Then it's a trip to Ruislip for home of Wealdstone on Saturday, the 12th of July, AFC Wimbledon. Then it's a trip to Leyton Orient on the 26th of July. And then it is Deportivo La Coruña on Wednesday, the 30th of July at Vicarage Road, who I've been told this evening that Paulo Pezzolano has requested for Watford to play Deportivo La Coruña. And obviously he came from Spanish side Real Valladolid. So he's probably got connections with Deportivo. What do those friendlies say to you, Joe? And is any you looking out for that you want to be attending, or what would you be looking from pre-season overall?
I think just for the new manager to kind of get an understanding of where the shape that he wants to play the formation. I'm not really bothered. Obviously we want to win games, but if we lose games and he's experimenting with different things, as long as he's got what he wants in place, I'd say for Orient and Deportivo at the very least. But those last 2 games, if he's experimenting for the first 2 and things don't quite work out, so what? It's a friendly. It's not important. No one's going to look back at the end of the season if we finish second and we've lost against AFC Wimbledon and Boreham Wood in friendlies. But it's important. We saw last year. With Cleverly, when Cam and I went to Stevenage, the introduction of Quadro Bar and how important that was to an instrumental to our start to the season last year and things. So, yeah, I kind of want to see things like that. I want to see someone just taking a chance and just doing something maybe that we're not expecting and seeing what comes off. But yeah, going back to the question as well, look, ones I'm going to, Leyton Orient I'm going to do on the 26th, which I'm really looking forward to because it's a new ground for me. Was disappointed Wimbledon was at Wealdstone and not Wimbledon's ground because it was another ground for me I've not done. But yeah, I'll only be doing that one, unfortunately, because the others are midweek and it's just a bit difficult being down here in Portsmouth and getting up for a pre-season. So What about you? Are you going to any?
I am going to. I've not ran it past Kate yet, and she's standing to the left of me. So this is probably first that she's going to understand. But I'm looking to do the Boreham Wood game for that midweek on Tuesday, the 8th of July. I don't know if I'm getting glared at yet. I think she's umming and ahhing. I might have been given the thumbs up for that one. But yeah, I'm looking to do that, and then I'm actually taking Kate and Isla to the AFC Wimbledon game on the 12th of July. So
Lovely.
not doing any away games last season. I'm looking to do 2 back-to-back away ones. I've got the bug back, Joe. This is what it is. I've got the bug back, and I missed away days last year. I'm gutted I can't do the Leighton Orient game. It clashes with my best mate's wedding, which is the day before, and I'm the best man, so I kind of like I can't get out of Leighton Orient, and it's one I need to tick off. So hopefully we go back there at one point, and then Deportivo, I might do that as well, just to get out the house midweek again. And I've seen Deportivo before, Joe. I went to watch Barcelona play on a lad's holiday about 8 years ago, and they was actually playing Deportivo La Coruña. Messi started on the bench, and he came off and scored within a minute. So yeah, I was one of the lucky ones to see Messi play and for him to score, which was pretty cool. And their front three was like Suarez, Neymar, Messi. It's an unreal team back then. But yeah, I imagine the quality of Deportivo has declined since then because they are playing in a second tier now, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah, they're not as good as what they used to be. I was saying to someone jokingly the other day when back in the day years ago when Championship Manager was really a thing. I remember in the 2000-2001 season, I used to sign loads of their players because they had like Diego Tristan, Juan Carlos Valeron. You know, they had a really, really good, strong side, and they were good in the Champions League as well back then. And went on a few good runs. So yeah, they're not the club they once were, but it'd be interesting to see what sort of side. And I'm pretty sure they'll bring a little selection of fans because whenever we play someone overseas, there's always a little section of maybe about 50 to 100 fans that give it some for 90 minutes for a bit of a laugh, don't they?
Yeah, it would be likewise for us if we ended up going to Deportivo. Imagine that, the scenes of us over in Deportivo, the strong like 500 Watford fans that would be over there. It'd be similar to like the people that travelled up to see us play Hibernian last year. Yeah. It was quality for the people that went up there. So yeah, let's get into the next category: new signings and departures. Joe, where do you want to start first? Departures or arrivals?
Let's go departures, shall we? Let's talk about the departures from the club.
Yes, so one that's been confirmed from Watford, and it is the Chilean, the Viking, Francisco Siriota. He has left Watford to join French side Auxerre. He's left Watford after a good old stint. A great servant for Watford. Didn't really put much a foot wrong, really, Joe, did he? Maybe lacked a little bit of pace nowadays, but when called upon, pretty solid.
Yeah, he was. As I kind of pointed out when Cam and I did our pod when we were talking about all the squad, it's a bit of a strange one because he was really good in the Championship, but he wasn't trusted in the Premier League, was he? We had that year when we went up when he was at the club and he was sent out on loan, wasn't he, for the season? The club didn't believe he was good enough at that level, but at Championship level, yeah, can't really fault him. He was obviously part of that side until this season when Burnley smashed the defensive record. We held the record, didn't we? Joint that season with only conceding 30 goals in 46 games, which is astonishing. But yeah, no complaints from me. I think he did. You know, he was always good for a yellow towards the end, wasn't he? He like you say lacked a bit of pace, but yeah, very very solid defender and always gave it 110% when he played. So yeah, good luck to him in his new club.
Yeah, definitely wishing him all the best for the rest of his career. Was it about time that he moved on for a new challenge? I was surprised with how young he was as well. When he left and they said his age, I was a little bit surprised. For you, I was expecting him to be a bit older, and I can't remember off the top of my head how old he was. I'm going to have a quick look now. I want to say he was about 26, maybe 28.
28, I think. I'm sure that's what Mike said it was, wasn't it? 28.
Let's have a quick look now. 28, yeah.
Yes, incredibly young. I thought he was like in his going on mid-30s, but yeah.
No, definitely. So yeah, wishing him the very best. We haven't really had any other departures, Joe. Obviously, we've seen the loans end for Vacuum Bio. He's gone back to Indonesia. Larucci's gone back to France. Caleb Wiley's gone back to Chelsea. Although he might be coming back, we'll be talking about rivals very shortly. But there's not much else happening departure wise, Joe. Would you be expecting more players to be leaving or would have left by now?
Yeah, I still think Daniel Batman's off. I think Batman's going to be, as Ian's just literally just said in the comments here. Yeah, I think Daniel Batman will. I don't really know where he's going to end up, to be honest, at this moment. So there was rumours he was going to go to Norwich. That hasn't happened. I've heard other rumours that Cleverley wants him at Plymouth. Whether they've got the money, whether that actually happens is another thing. Jess has said here, I hope Porteous goes as well. I do think Porteous will be off as well. There was talk of him going back to Hibernian. I know in January Rangers were potentially sniffing as well. And there's also been talk of him going to the MLS as well. I don't know what club specifically has been showing interest there, but apparently he would be interested in that. So yeah, I do definitely think there will be some others. Who was the other actually? Tikvich. I did see that he was linked with a move away for the club that were linked with him was a club record fee for them, I think at €900,000. So whether that comes off as well is another story. But yeah, there's going to probably be potentially 3 or 4 people that do go out the door. Rajovic, I expect still to leave as well, depending on what happens. I was having a conversation with a friend a couple of days ago, and I said he's an intriguing one because if Paolo Pezzolano tries something in pre-season and Rajovic does well from it, he could end up staying. It could be a shock to us all, but we've seen like Barr last season was given a chance and he ended up
surprised us all, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's only pre-season. Obviously, we don't know what the manager is going to be trying. He's obviously said about what his style of football is, that he wants to, what he's going to want to play. He said he's a high pressing and sort of like guy in his style of play. So yeah, it's an interesting one for me because, like I say, I personally think he'll 100% be sold. But then, like I say, if he proves himself in pre-season, he could end up staying when the window's shut. But yeah, there'll probably be 4 or 5 at least. I think, like I say, that will be going. What about you, Ben? Do you agree with those, or do you think there's any more that I've missed off?
No, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of surplus for requirements in the squad, and it's players that aren't going to be first team players next season. But equally, I do feel there's market value there for Watford to exploit. And if we're wanting to keep the likes of Barr, Lauser, and Chapadasti, then we will be offloading the surplus of requirements for the squad, and that's what I've been told as well, that Gino wants to keep the 3-star players and we'll be looking to offload other players, so we don't need to sell in those areas. And also remember that Watford have a great record of bringing in young players and selling them high. Joel Pedro is a great example, and we are likely to probably recruit about £5 million from when he eventually joins. I think Newcastle United are the front runners at the moment, so that will probably help keep the top players as well. But yeah, I think maybe throw Tom Ince into the mix as well.
I agree with that.
Trying to think who else maybe in the squad. Maybe there's a discussion for James Morris.
Yeah, Jesse just said here. I think if he goes, I think it'll be a loan rather than a permanent.
He's in his last year of a contract, from what I heard from
Of
another
course he is.
podcast not so long ago. So I
Yeah,
don't know whether that would be worthwhile or not to loan him out. Maybe they might look to move him on a free transfer potentially, because he joined the club after his contract expired from Southampton, didn't he? And joined the Watford Academy. So it's not like we've spent money on him. So maybe they might shake
no,
hands and he might go different ways. But I don't know who else. Maybe Tom Deddy Bashiru potentially. We've recruited Hector Cipriano. I imagine Sissoko and Kiembe will be sticking around. If Tom Deddy wants maybe more game time, maybe he might go elsewhere. I'm just trying to think who else. We ain't really got any strikers to think that we can maybe move on. Obviously, then Rivich that you've mentioned, Dumbia won't be going anywhere. Yeah, I don't know. I think you've pretty much nailed them there, Joe.
yeah. I was just looking at the squad, and there's no one else I can see on the list that I think will be gone, like you say, because all the big players he kind of signalled that he wants to keep. So, yeah, and Jess had just obviously mentioned Sissoko there as well. I think he'll probably stay for the experience. I think more than anything this season. I actually don't think he'll stay beyond this season, though, if I'm being honest. I think this will be his last season at Vicarage Road. I'll be surprised if he stays beyond.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I can only see another 12 months for him as well. Let's go to incomings now for Watford. There's been 3 confirmed already: Hector Cipriano, Nathan Baxter, and Mark Bowler. What have you made of those 3 signings?
Cipriano, obviously, one we know we've been after for a while. It was quite embarrassing in the last couple of windows, going in quite late in the windows when we know what, as I've said before, what Peterborough like with selling players. Obviously, they're renowned for getting good money for players that they kind of bring through. So for us to go in with silly offers and be laughed out the door, that was very embarrassing. But I'm glad we've got him finally, and we got him on a free transfer. So yeah, brilliant. I know a lot of people, especially a couple of people at work who are Portsmouth fans, were a little bit disappointed because there was whispers that they were potentially interested in him as well. And I know there was probably 3 or 4 other Championship clubs looking. So yeah, very happy with that one. Baxter, yeah, I mean, obviously he's got links to Watford, hasn't he? He said he's got family that are season ticket holders. So he's, he'll obviously want to give 110% putting on a Watford shirt because of his family and stuff. So that one could be a very clever and good move as a good backup for us. I have been reading about him and seeing kind of what sort of keeper he is. And a lot of people have said he's a little bit nervous at times in commanding his area and has made silly mistakes, which caused him to get dropped from the side. I think it was around late January, early February time. And he got his position back in the side towards the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. And Mark Bowler, I'll be honest, I don't really know anything about him, so can't comment. But from what I've read, there's not been anything really bad said about him. So yeah, give him a chance. We've obviously got a fairly relatively decent left back on a free transfer. And it looks like, obviously we'll talk about it more, but, with Caleb Wiley potentially coming back, we're going to have 2 strongish players in that left back position going into this season.
Yeah, let's talk about Caleb Wiley. From what I've been told from the training ground, him and James Banquer are going to be signing season-long loans with Watford. I double-checked about there was rumours about Watford signing James Banquer permanently. That's not the case. It's just going to be a straightforward another loan deal for James Banquer. So keep your eyes peeled, and I imagine those 2 will probably be signed within the next week or 2. I know Caleb Wiley's back at Chelsea at the moment, undergoing bits and pieces. But yeah, both of them, I've been told, are returning back to Watford for next season. So that would be 2 left backs, Joe, with Mark Bowler and Caleb Wiley. You would imagine that Caleb Wiley would probably be first choice?
Yeah, I do expect that. It depends, though, because, whoever gets the chance, they prove
Whoever
themselves.
impresses the most, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we could be surprised, and it could be Bowler that gets the nod. But yeah, I would expect it to be Wiley, and more because I don't think Chelsea would want to let somebody go out on loan to be sat on the bench. That's the only reason. I'm not saying there's nothing against Bowler and potentially what he can do, but I just think with you don't tend to get Premier League players in and not play them. So yeah, that's my thinking on that.
No, I agree. I also think Bowler's probably is a really good standard of footballer. He got in the team of the year over in Turkey last year, and he had his best season of his career. So he's not going to be coming in wanting to be on the bench. He's going to be wanting to fight for that shirt as well. So I even thought earlier, like even if we didn't sign Caleb Wiley, I think Bowler's probably a good shout for left back and an upgrade on Yasso Larucci. So to have two good quality players in that area, it's really good. And it's nice to see, Joe, that we're not just stockpiling players like we've done in the past, where we've just signed loads of players and then you're giving it to the manager and it's like, you deal with the problem now. You try and make it work. It seems like this season there's been a reset behind the scenes where they're trying to recruit for positions that we actually need and personnel to fit what we want to do going forward.
Yeah, that's definitely clear to see. I think the fact that we're getting a Banquer back, we're going to have some really good centre backs. I do think that we'll probably go for one more because injuries we do know that injuries crop up. Caben's obviously one that's been in and out of the side last season, although he's very good. And potentially, I think, I don't know, it's difficult. If Pollock starts the season well, it could be Pollock and a Banquer. If Caben starts the season well, it could be him and a Banquer. But then saying that, depending on what sort of formation and how the manager wants to start the season, it could be all three of them at the back. In which case, then we definitely will need another centre back. So, yeah, I think it's really encouraging that we're kind of doubling up and getting the right players for the right positions, and showing that we want to start the season with a strong squad, to be honest.
I've been told that we are looking to recruit one more centre back, and the centre back is not the Reading centre half. That goes by the name of Amadou Mbenge, who was linked with a move to Watford. I think is a free agent maybe this summer, but he is not joining Watford Football Club. We are still looking. I asked it, was it maybe a left-footed centre half we may be looking at? They said not necessarily. We've got Mark Bowler who can fill in playing left side. We've also got Wiley who can play on the left as well. So yeah, so it'd be interesting to see who we do actually go ahead and get. Watford are also looking to recruit two wide players for backup for Quadro Bar and Rocco Vata. And I think that's massive, Joe, to think how we struggled last season, especially with Quadro Bar when he went out injured. We struggled a little bit when Vata went missing for a few weeks as well, and struggled to re-pick up that form. But to be in the market for two wide players is pretty decent to have them as backup to try and keep the momentum going, because when Quadro Bar went off last season out injured, that was pretty much our season done and dusted.
Yeah, I think that is really good news and good to hear. It'll be interesting to see. I take it there was no word on potentially who those players might be. Have they said whether one might be a permanent and one might be a Premier League loan?
I don't know whether they're loans or permanents. I just know we're looking at two wide players.
Okay, yeah. I mean, regardless, it doesn't matter really who it is. It's just good for the fact that obviously we've had injuries to Georgie this season. We've had injuries to Rocco Vata. Obviously, he was out for a while, and Quadro Bar was out for a while as well. To know that we're going to have players that potentially could come in, fill those positions, and not have to struggle and put people that shouldn't be out there in those positions, it is really encouraging. So yeah, that is good news to hear.
No, definitely. And what impressed me the most, Joe, as well, from what I've heard, and I sorry to keep going back saying what I've heard, but Gino's had a look at that 14-15 season of Watford, where we had 4 strikers in Deeney, Vidra, Forestieri, and Igalo, and he wants to replicate that this season. He wants to get 4 strikers for next season for us in the 25-26 season. What do you make of that?
You know what? I don't really know what to say to that, if I'm being honest, because
For everyone who's watching and listening, me and Joe haven't been able to talk today, so I've not been able to fill him in with anything. So he's finding all of this out as well as everyone else. I did ask him very briefly before we went on air, saying, "Do you want me to fill you in some bits and pieces?" And he said, "No, we'll keep it as a surprise." So this is the first time Joe's found out about this as well. So he's not really had time to process or anything. So. What do you make of potentially having 4 strikers? It would definitely go much further than having Vacuum Bio and maybe Rajovic from the 2.
Does that kind of say to you then that the manager wants to go 4-4-2? Because if you're getting 4 strikers in, you're not going to keep 3 strikers out of the squad.
Well, I definitely Dumbia will, but definitely be one of the strikers, won't he? Dumbia is that potentially looking at 3 strikers, or if Pezzolano likes the look of Rajovic, then does he stay and then it's only 2 more strikers through the door? I just know that last season we was very light up front, and I think if we had another striker, we wouldn't have seen Messiah Edwards at all last season, and because we was that light up front, that's why we probably struggled. But I think having the options and rotations, maybe, I don't know. I think the preseason games will be quite telling, Joe, to see how we line up, what system we play. Do we have 2 strikers? And if we do have the 2 strikers, then that maybe ticks a box for four strikers at the club. But yeah.
Because just thinking out loud here, if he signs 3 strikers, we're obviously going to have the 4 with Dumbia. If he signs 2 wide players, obviously Georgie's been playing wide as well. We're going to have 5 wide players, yeah, and then 4 strikers. That's 9 people in that
all out attack, baby.
I mean, yeah, I'm admiring what he wants and his enthusiasm towards the squad this season, but like that's crazy. I mean, do you think maybe? Well, again, asking you, obviously, like going back, is do you think maybe one of them could be like younger players, maybe to send out on loan with a view to bringing them back, or are they actually 4 strikers to actually be ready to go in the squad?
I honestly don't know, mate. All I've been told is that Gino's looked at that 14-15 season and that he wants 4 strikers. Because Gino said in his statements not so long ago, straight after the Cleverley sacking, that he basically wants Watford to be challenging for promotion. He hasn't came out and said that he wants promotion. He wants to be challenging, and that's what he didn't enjoy last season. But we wasn't in and around the mix for longer than what we were. And I think this season he really wants to give it a go. And I think he's showing a lot of intent and direction of what he wants for next season. It will be interesting to see the players that are coming in. Not necessarily would be championship experience, but we've been here before. Did Vidra have experience? No. Did Igalo? No. Did Forestieri have it? No. But they managed to pull up the trees and perform absolutely wonders on the carpet that's known as Vicarage Road. So it'd be interesting to see. And it's difficult. We don't know much about Pezzolano. We don't know what system he plays. So it's going to be interesting to know what we actually do with potentially 4 strikers. Like, obviously, they're all not going to be on the pitch at the same time. You got to remember that there's a lot more substitutes allowed on the bench now than there was in the 14-15 season as well. We can have 5 substitutions now. So these 4 you might have one up top, but you would have three on the bench, and it's options to change the game. You could change the game at half time with sticking another one up top, and then you're playing with two strikers, and still got another two on the bench. So yeah, I think it's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, I think it beats having 7 defenders on the bench, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, or let's go back to Walter Mazzari, Joe. Do you remember last game of the season against Manchester City? What was it? We had like 2 goalkeepers on the bench, lots of youngsters. Did Barami play centre half that game as well? I want to say he did.
Yeah, that last game was a real car crash of events, wasn't it? And we all kind of looked at each other when the team was being announced and was like, "What is happening here?" But yeah, I mean, look, I'm here for it, and it's exciting to hear. It's just, I did kind of briefly hear you in your conversation as I was kind of coming on to the into the room tonight, but it'll be interesting to see if any. I know you did ask the question of do they have a championship experience? I know you were trying to kind of get that information. I do. It's all well, and I know you said we signed these players, they didn't have any championship experience, but I do think we need at least 2 or 3 good championship players at least this season. I don't want to. It's all well and good sign all these people, but I just don't want them all to be from like foreign leagues. Like as good as they potentially can be, and they've scored goals in other leagues. We know the Championship is a tough league, and I do think, in Cipriano, I think we've got a player there that's ready for the Championship. He's proven that he's good at League One level, and I just think we need a few good Championship players and maybe one good Premier League loan. Just not obviously. We've seen Daniel Jefferson has ended up at Preston, so he's robbing someone of a career there, isn't he?
He is. I think the only reason he's joined there is because he had Paul Heckingbottom at Sheffield United. That's the only link I can make out of why he would go to Preston and why they would be interested in him.
Yeah, one end of the country to the other, unless he's just wanting to live off the Spud Brothers jacket potatoes for the season.
I saw that today. Have you seen the shirt?
Yeah, I have indeed. Yeah, fair play to the guys for getting that
local business.
Deal. Yeah, local business. I'm all for that.
Not a gambling sponsor either. I really rate it. I don't like the look of the shirt or the sponsor on the shirt. I think it's horrendous. But I really like what they've done by actually recruiting a local businessman. Well, they've accepted a local businessman's offer to be the shirt sponsor of the Preston North End. I really rate it. I like it. It's a shame it looks a bit naff, but yeah, Spud Bros. I'm here for it.
This is the last season, isn't it, that betting companies can be on football shirts in the Championship. So I think everyone's going to be kind of like looking to this season move away from the sponsors they've got. I'm going to be interested to see where we go next year with the sponsor.
Hopefully not back to Happy Egg.
I was just about to say, I wonder if the return of Happy Egg will happen.
What was it? That was announced and then it was quickly unannounced. But there was like a photo of like Johnny Eustace wearing that shirt. I remember vigorously. Those were the days, weren't they? You didn't get a video of like John Eustace doing a keepy uppy with eggs like you've done with Preston with the Spuds.
Yeah, that was really odd, wasn't it? Yeah, it'd be quite funny. I'm interested. It could be something like Mad Squirrel, couldn't it?
Yeah, like local, aren't they?
Yeah.
Whereabouts are they from? I know they're local. They've obviously got brewers in and around the area. I want to say, I don't know why Tring comes to mind. I might be completely wrong, and apologies, Mad Squirrel, if I got that completely wrong. I think Joe's Googling it or he was looking at his phone.
No, I'm not. I'm literally not.
Yeah, we've gone off on a tangent with shirt sponsors. It's what we do best, Joe. It's what we do best. Randomly, any strikers that you would like to see play for Watford?
Well, now I've seen how much money he's left for. the one that I would have loved is Ryan Hardy, and I think Wrexham got him for a steal at £700,000. I think
I can't believe that
that's
figure.
that's mad business. I was expecting something like 2.5, maybe 2.5 million, maybe. Like he's a good goal scorer. Like he scores goals. I feel like that's really cheap. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen him maybe come to Vicarage Road. I mean, people are probably going to hammer me for this, but I actually would have taken a punt on Paul Mullin as well, to be fair. I actually think he's good enough potentially for
No.
this league.
What for Watford?
Yeah, I genuinely would.
No
I mean,
way.
Ben, we've had Bio in our squad for 2 seasons, like however many seasons. Like Paul Mullin is not worse than Vacu and Bio. So
See, this is where I have to draw the line, Joe. I can't have Paul Mullins over Vacuum Bio. I would actually have Vacuum Bio over him, only
oh,
because he didn't pull up trees last season in League One. He
yeah,
didn't
because he
do much.
wasn't
He
given
couldn't
a
get into a
chance,
team.
was he? No, but he
Ah,
wasn't given a chance. They signed star players. They wanted to get in the league. He wasn't given a chance. He didn't do anything wrong. But you spend 2.5 million on Sam Smith from Reading, and you sign Jay Rodriguez. You're not going to then play Paul Mullin. You're not going to have a £15,000 a week Jay Rodriguez sitting on the bench to allow Paul Mullin to do whatever he can do. So I think that was the only reason that he didn't get a chance is because they just signed good players and they had a lot of money invested in their front line. So yeah, if he'd played games and wasn't doing well, then I'd agree with you. But I just think he wasn't given a chance.
I don't know. I think it was tailing off for him in League One towards the end of the season. I think that's why they've opted to go again and recruit those two players with Jay Rodriguez and the other one you mentioned from Reading. But yeah, honestly, I don't think he'll get double figures for Wigan.
Yeah, I mean they're a poor side, so.
Here we go.
But then saying that they've just signed, as I said the other day, Sadie from Portsmouth, who I actually rate as a fairly decentish player. So they could be, they're sort of making some decentish signings to kind of give it a bit of a go next season themselves. So yeah, you know what, it probably is a bit of a wild one, but yeah, do you know what? Ian's actually, I actually agree with this. I'd
I don't know
give.
what you guys are on tonight, Ian. What are you doing to me,
I mean,
Lawrence Shanklin? I've
he's
watched him
done,
play.
he's done all right at Hearts.
He's done all right at Hearts. I just think it's a big step up. I watched
Well, everyone
Lawrence
was
Shanklin
loving
play
Porteous.
for. Yeah, I watched him. It's a different position, Joe.
Yeah, but he still is. It was a big step up from the Scottish Premier League.
Yeah. I think goal scorers. It's like the defenders he's playing against and goalkeepers he's playing against are. They're not as good, are they, as the quality in the Championship? And I know he's a Scotland international. He don't have many caps for Scotland, but he has featured for Scotland, and I want to say he scored for Scotland as well. But yeah, I think it's a big step up. He's one of these strikers who's always been linked with a move to a Championship, but it's never came to fruition. I saw him play for Ayr United because that's my Scottish team, and I went up to see family up there, and I took in a game and I saw him play, and I didn't think too much of him. He doesn't work too much, like very well off the ball. He can hit a ball in from wherever he is on the pitch, but yeah, I just think it would be a bit of a gamble. But yeah, respect your opinion, Ian. It's a shout. Joe likes your shout. Obviously, you two are throwing them in tonight. One I'll throw in, and I'm not saying we're linked with this guy at all. I haven't heard anything like this, but I'm very surprised that Bristol City have released Naki Wells.
I didn't realize. No, I didn't know that.
I saw it the other day. He put out a post on social media or something. Supposedly, they haven't even offered him a new contract. They've just let his deal run out. But yeah, I'm surprised. And I think he got like 10 goals last season in the Championship. Yes, he's the other side of 30 now. But maybe squad player. I've seen Andy Wyman's leaving Blackburn to join up with John Eustace at Derby County. Another guy who's maybe Championship experience, a veteran. I would probably have him in around my squad as well. Whenever he played for Blackburn last year, he kind of impressed me.
they're kind of making some big signings. They're signed Morris as well, haven't they, from Luton?
Yeah, we don't talk about him, Joe.
No, we don't. We don't. But they look like they're, Eustace is trying to get a decent squad
Yeah,
together to give that a good go next year. And yeah, they're making the right signings. I just saw Jess said about Kone. Kone would be nice, but he's the price tag that
it's
Wickham
the
have put on
money,
his
isn't
head
it?
is £12 million, and West Ham apparently leading the race for Kone, but apparently they're refusing to pay £12 million for him. So they're trying to get that down. I imagine it'll maybe be somewhere in the region of 8 million, potentially rising to 10 on with add-ons potentially. But yeah, Kone is going to be well out of our price range. But saying that, if Gino gets this deal done with Udinese, who knows, Ben? We could see Kone come in for a huge fee, and it could be a real statement signing potentially if we were to go and spend that sort of money for a striker.
It would be a massive sign of intent. I don't see it happening. I don't see us spending much money this year. I think they're going to be quite shrewd with their business. Obviously, I think we'll probably spend a bit of money, but I don't think it's going to be the price marks that we'll be looking to get Richard Kone from Wycombe Wanderers. But who knows? You never
Kone
know.
and
But
Ings up front to start the season next year.
oh yeah, lovely. Does that mean we're keeping Ince?
No, Kone and Ings. Sorry, I said.
Oh, and
Sorry.
Ings. Sorry, I thought you said an Ince.
No. Kone and Ings. Danny Ings.
Ings. I don't think that would happen either. Not with the money that he would want. It's coming down from Premier League wages. We don't have the money to spend 60,000 a week or whatever is quoted. I just don't see it. Yes, yes, it's free, but the wages are extortionate. So, nah, I wouldn't expect that to happen. Right, Joe. Let's talk about Pezzolano, new head coach for Watford. What do you think a successful season would look like under him?
I think top 10, missing out on the playoffs potentially by 4 or 5 points, I think is a good season. It would be gutting because we'd be that close, but I think it shows the club would have not only, if we get these players in that Gino's saying he wants to get in, we're making the right moves, we're doing the right things in terms of improving the squad. It would, to me, that would be a successful season and a massive improvement on what we've just seen last season. What about you?
No. Successful. I'm going to go top 8. I want to try and move a bit further away from mid-table. I think top 8, that would be more challenging for the playoffs. That might have been maybe missed out last game of the season, just missed out on the playoffs, which I think is achievable next season. We've all got to remember as well, like we might be like, oh, we can't reach that. Yes, there's got to be a lot of work done behind the scenes, but I think that we're starting to see that with the signings that we've made. I've lost my trail of thought there, Joe. Yeah, I think that obviously it's came back now. We've got to look at maybe other teams in the division who are struggling. Sheffield Wednesday haven't played their players for nearly 2 months now. They've been hit by a free window transfer embargo, so they can't sign players for 3 years. So I'm tipping them to finish in the relegation zone and go down this season. You got the likes of Leicester coming down, who will be on a points deduction as well. Southampton, I don't think are going to be as strong next season either. I've seen Carl Walker-Peters is leaving this season as well. I just think there's teams up there who aren't going to be as strong as people maybe expect to be. I think Leicester might not be. I think Leicester will finish in the playoffs, but I don't think they'll get promoted next season. That's going to be my hot take for next season. If they've got points deduction, potentially won't be able to spend much money because they've got to watch what they're doing with FFP. I don't think they'll get promoted next season like they walked it the other year when they were signing the likes of like Connor Cody and Harry Winks. I think those days are gone when they were spending ridiculous amount of money for average players, really. It didn't elevate them to the next level. They came straight back down in the Premier League. So yeah, I would say top 8 would be my expectations for next season, or a successful season for Pezzolano. Did you read Pezzolano's interview the other day, Joe?
Yeah, do you know
And
what?
what did you make of it?
Well, I didn't read all of it. There was just one bit that I kind of took from it, and I found it. Well, people might disagree, or agree with me here. However, he came across a little bit arrogant to me when he was like, "I don't really want to talk about the squad. I let the players do the talking for me on the pitch." And like, fair enough. We obviously want the team to do well, but you've got a bit of work to do before kind of like, you can be in that position to say that the players can do the talking, because they're not going to do it in the first. It's not just going to click, is it, straight away? So he's going to need time. He's going to need support. But yeah, like I say, yeah. So no, I didn't really read too much. I just took that one bit that I saw from. I think the club posted it on the Instagram page, I think. What was there anything from it that you took that was like positive, or anything in particular that seemed to hold him in good light?
I'm a bit of a stickler for the past, and I quite liked when he was mentioning about Graham Taylor and the success that we had in like the 80s, and then he also talked about how Watford had success in the Premier League and how he wants us to get back up there. And it's obviously difficult to try and find a connection with a manager again after how many that we've had in X amount of years, and I think only time will tell with him. But I do know that he is working extremely hard on his English, and his English is actually better than people have expected from what I've heard behind the scenes. I don't think the club wants to throw him under the bus and put him in front of the media just yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if they treat him a bit like what Pochettino was with his first spell in English management. I think he interacts with the players in English. He can speak pretty good English and get his instructions across, from what I've heard. And he hears everything in English from and supposedly he's coming across really impressive to the players and the behind the scenes, and he's also a stickler for timekeeping as well. I think the players are being in at like 7:30 each day of pre-season, and you won't be surprised that 2 players have fallen foul of being late of 7:30 already. So hopefully they get their act into gear, because we've been here before, Joe, haven't we, under Valerie Ismail? I think timekeeping was poor, and he used to take them out of the team and wouldn't play them. If there was a starter, they'd get dropped down to the bench. If they was on the bench, they would be removed from the starting lineup automatically. I think it happened to Imran Loser once, didn't it? And he ended up getting dropped down to the bench, and then we put him on at half time because we were so poor, and he changed the game or improved things dramatically. So, yeah, I think only time will tell, Joe. We don't know much about him. He seems to have done his homework on the club. He seems to have done his homework on the players. He's watched lots of videos, and he's asked the right questions. So yeah, it's difficult. Do you think it's such a difficult question to ask? Do you think that he's only got a 1-year contract? Do you think that he could get success at Watford?
If we sign the right players and he's got a good squad going into this season, then yes, I believe success is achievable. But Gino's got to, rather than say what he's said, he's got to back it up with actually doing it. Because we've heard him say things before and he's not followed through. with things that are going on behind the scenes at the moment with him. Like we said, he's got every intention of putting us first. So yeah, let's. I do believe success is achievable this season, and I do believe we could have a good season.
We've seen
It's
it
all
before with managers coming in from the outside who we don't know much about. Yes, they've probably joined halfway through a season when the foundations have been built. Like you go back to Savicia, Jukanovic, or Cisco Munoz, the foundations was built. But do you think the foundations has been built by Tom Cleverley, and maybe Pezzolano is that next person to take us to the next level?
I think that's really difficult to say, because I think when they came in, they both came in around similar times, didn't they? I think Munoz was late November. Jukanovic was early December. Oh no, sorry, Jukanovic was late November. I think Munoz was more early December. And they were both able to put runs together. When new managers come in, there's always kind of that new manager bounce with games. In the championship, they're thick and fast. So if you can put 2 or 3 runs together in a week, we're having a midweek game, then that the momentum's fully changed and works in your favour. I think the fact that we've got a pre-season and he's coming in to that and he's getting a chance to kind of put his own stamp on things doesn't quite work the same way as what those managers got. However, I do believe that he's probably inherited a good squad of togetherness, and those players really love each other. We've seen that Tom Delibashiro, Quadro Bar, Jeremy Ngakia and Imran Louza were all on holiday together. Looked like they had a wonderful time.
Makes you jealous, doesn't it? Wish you was there as well.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they had a really good kind of like reset. And, I even think little videos like the club posting Imran Louza playing pool the other day, and the fun that they were having around the training ground and like with each other just shows that the players all love being around one another. They all like having a good laugh together. They're all good friends. It's not just a team of players that are turning up to earn a crust and then just leaving the training ground and wait until Saturday to play. They care about each other and want to do well. And I think that is an attitude that Tom Cleverley installed within that squad. And I think Pezzolano is going to inherit a very good side in that sense for me.
Talking of Imran Louza, is there going to be a club captaincy up for grabs, and would you put that round Imran Louza?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's any question for me. I think he's the right man for the position this year. I think with the fact that he's always talking in the ref's ear and is very passionate and shows time and time again leadership within the squad. I think he's definitely the right man for the captain's armband this year. I take it you agree?
Yeah, 100%. He's impressed me so much, especially last season. Well, last season he impressed me. End of. Before last season, I didn't really think too much of him. I wouldn't have missed him if he was sold. Last season, absolutely unreal. Loved his attitude, loved his work rate, loved his quality on the ball, loved what he did for the team. And that's what I want to see for next season. And I hope it continues. And I had a sense last season, Joe, that he enjoyed being here. He enjoyed being the player. He enjoyed being that vital link that we've been missing for a while. Did you get the same sense?
Yeah, and I think he played off the love that the fans had for him as well. You could clearly see at the end of each game coming around the pitch, and the round of applause that the fans would give him. Even when he was getting subbed, he'd get a standing ovation most games. You can clearly tell that the love's back for playing for the club, and he really wants to be part of the squad. And from what we heard in pre-season, I don't know if this was something that was said in our chat, from what we'd heard from sources in the club, but I think he was linked with a move to Brentford at one point. I don't know how true that was, because obviously there's going to be a lot of changes at Brentford this year. But there was talk of him potentially going to Brentford. but he apparently came out and said that he wasn't interested in a move away from the club and was really wanting to do well and get promoted with Watford this season. So if that's the case, then he's clearly interested in. He clearly wants to be here and is interested in the club doing well. So yeah, I'm all. I do, as you know. I mean, I predicted at the start of the season he would stay. I predicted he would win Player of the Season, and it all came. So yeah, I predict he will get the armband for this season.
Talking of Brentford, are you as surprised as everyone else that Keith Andrews is the front runner to become the successor for Thomas Frank, the former Watford midfielder? I say former Watford midfielder. He only had about 6 months at the club, but he still played for us. Are you surprised that he was his number 2, wasn't he, at Brentford?
Yeah, he's the set piece coach at Brentford, isn't he?
Oh wow, okay.
I find it absolutely astonishing that a club of Brentford's stature and how close they were to European football. They were 1 win away from European football this season, and they're appointing the set piece coach to be their new manager. I mean, I know like people like Will Steele have come in France and done well and proved that they're good managers, but I mean, they wanted Scott Parker at one point, and as much as I dislike the bloke, that is a much better option than Keith Andrews. I genuinely fear for them if they appoint him as manager. I just don't. Listen, I could eat humble pie and I will sit here and apologise if Brentford are like top 5 after, I don't know, 3 months of the season. But I genuinely don't believe that he will be the right man for Brentford and to take that club forward.
The obvious replacement is at Ipswich, and it's Kieran McKenna. I don't know why they've not gone after him. He fits that club perfectly. But yeah, let's not talk about him anymore. But Joe, fixtures, they're released tomorrow, released on Thursday. What are you wanting to see? Well, what's the first thing you look for when fixtures are released? And who would you like to play first game of the season? Home or away? You choose.
I do just want to point something out, and I was thrown off by this earlier on. The fixtures aren't out at 9 a.m. tomorrow. They're out at midday tomorrow, I've read. Because I was
Isn't
looking...
the League Cup draw released tomorrow as well?
Yeah, 4:30 p.m. That's live on Sky Sports News. So
for everyone watching, tune in for 4:30 Sky Sports News. Thank you, Joe.
League Cup draw, Bromley away. What do I look out for? I think this year I'll be looking out for games like. So when you say what I look out for, do you mean the day or the club?
Whatever. What's the first thing you look at when the fixtures are released? Might be club, might be date, might be whatever's important for yourself. Whatever's meaningful for yourself.
It's always first day, last day, Boxing Day for me. They're in those 3. There is a potential actually, and this is not confirmed, but there is a potential that Boxing Day might not happen this year with the way that the days have fallen. I don't know if you've seen the Premier League fixtures.
I heard something. Yeah, I heard something with the Premier League.
Yeah, so the Premier League are actually on the 27th, and then they're a few days after that, I think the 30th. I don't know whether there's something happening potentially with before Christmas with maybe the league. I was talking about this with one of my friends. The League Cup maybe the week before and quite close to Christmas in terms of the round before they usually do quite close to Christmas. So there may not be a Boxing Day game this year, which would be heartbreaking because that's a one that we always, well, I know a lot of people look forward to. But yeah, first day, last day, and Boxing Day is my usual ones. What about you? Are you similar?
Yeah, pretty similar. What I really like looking for as well is I always look for that end of season running. I always want to know who we're playing with, like the last 5-6 games. I want to know if it's like an easy run-in or if it's a tough one. Obviously, the ones that I would have liked to look out for is our friends up the M1, but unfortunately, they're not in the Championship next season. So haven't got that fixture to look out for. Wrexham, I wouldn't mind looking out for them to see when we're playing them.
We know
there's no
Mike
one
will be
else.
looking out for Birmingham.
Oh yeah, Mike will want Birmingham for the Birmingham away days that he's got planned with all his running crew. But yeah, I don't know who else I would really look out for team wise. There's no one like I really want to see them next season, other than maybe Wrexham. And then the squad they're building, it's like I don't know what to expect from them next season. A lot of people are expecting them to finish like mid-table or higher, but I think they'll probably drop straight back down, if I'm totally honest. Yes, they signed a great player in Ryan Hardy that you've mentioned, Joe. I think that's a great signing. Really great signing. But I think they're just going to be throwing players into a squad and they're not going to be... Like some of the players they've mentioned are like, really? Are you really going after him? Like we're trying to get A-listers to join. I saw that they was trying to get Gareth Bale out of retirement with one article, and next minute they was going to sign Ronaldo, and it's like, Jesus Christ. I think they'll just link anyone to that club at the moment, but I do think they'll come back down. But who would you want first game of the season, Joe?
I think I've got a funny feeling we're going to end. Katie will like this one. I think we're going to end up with Leicester away to start.
Okay, Leicester away. Kim Power. Not a bad away day, not too far away, travel-wise, from people located in Hertfordshire. Yeah.
QPR at home to finish?
We had QPR at home to start this year, didn't we? So to finish... or was that the season before?
No, season
QPR
before when we won 4-0, wasn't it?
That's it, yeah. So we've had them start the season before. QPR away to finish would be unreal. Or even Millwall away, end of the season. Imagine get promoted down in Millwall. That would be awesome. I think it would probably be something really boring like Preston at home, first game of the season. That's my shout. Preston at home. The Spud Bros are coming to town.
Yeah. It's a tough. I mean, it is tough because it could be anything really, couldn't it?
Or if we're away, I'm going to throw Oxford away first game of season.
I actually predicted. I got the prediction right for last season. I did say we'd get Millwall away opening day, and we got them. So yeah, that's the only time I've ever been right. So, yeah, I'm excited for it though. I'm excited to see when it, where we're going to be playing and what days. And I think they've announced that when the fixtures are released at 12 midday tomorrow, they will be announcing the first set of television fixtures. So keep a lookout for that, because if we're on telly, it will be announced straight away opening weekend. And they said that by next Thursday, they will have now announced all the television fixtures up to the end of September.
Wish it was a bit longer than the end of September. All the fans want to try and book their tickets for hotels and trains early, don't they, to try and make a savings. This is what annoys me, that they don't do it in more in advance. Like, you'd love to see by next week, because that's enough time to arrange television fixtures in my eyes. They should announce that up towards Christmas, that they've got it all penciled in to the end of September. So what are they going to do after that? Are they going to do the week after that, or the week after that they'll do it till October? Or
no, so it will be going hold on, let me just find the article again. It was on, I'm sure it was on the Watford Observer. I'm pretty sure it's going to be August. They'll announce up to potentially the end of November. But there is a point, I think by the end of September they'll have announced all the fixtures up to the end of up to the FA Cup third round weekend. Here we go. I've got the article. So yeah, end of September by the 3rd, and then it says by the 31st of July, selection shall be announced in respect of all matches scheduled prior to the end of the third round FA Cup weekend. So by the 31st of July. So by the end of July, we'll know all the television games up to the FA Cup third round, which, as my understanding, is the 10th of January this year, that weekend.
Okay.
And then by the 7th of November, all selections will be announced in respect of all matches played between the third round and the third round proper and the last weekend of February. And then it says selections for matches scheduled after the first weekend in March will be announced on a 4-week rolling basis from the 1st of February, which they did last season. And that will be a selection first weekend of in April will be selected the first weekend of March. And it says selections for matches scheduled for penultimate weekend of the regular season will be announced 3 weeks in advance. Selections for the final weekend of the season will be announced to the week prior. And as I said, the first round draw will be 4:30 p.m. on Sky Sports, with the ties being played the week commencing the 11th of August.
Perfect. Thank you very much, our Fixture correspondent. No, cheers for that, Joe. I think people want to know when the games are going to be released for television, and so they can book up the away days. Because, yeah, it's not cheap following the Hornets. Not with train prices or hotel prices at the moment. They've all skyrocketed. So if we can try and make some savings, we will. So we'll just have to look out for those key dates that Joe's just mentioned. But, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. We've pretty much covered quite a bit tonight. Apologies if it's a bit longer than normal. We've had a lot to discuss. Hope you've all enjoyed tonight's podcast. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll be looking to come back a bit more regular now the season's starting to kick into action a little bit. We've got preseason games coming up. Like I said, I'm looking to do the first 2 preseason games against Bournemouth and AFC Wimbledon. If someone else from a podcast is going to them, maybe we'll do a bit of a match review where we're talking about what we've seen at the game, so we can talk about maybe formations or players playing, and then our general thoughts as well. Maybe if there's incomings or outgoings, we'll be back as well to give you guys some more content going forward. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone watching tonight. Thank you everyone for getting involved in the comments tonight. Sorry that I haven't got them up on the screen a little bit more. We had a bit of a technical issue before we joined and I wasn't able to host. So Joe's been hosting for me tonight. So thank you, Joe, for doing that. But yeah, we will be back soon for more Watford related podcasts. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all soon. Come on, you ones.
And sorry, just to point out, it is going to come up with Mike's thing at the end here to finish. So
no.
So
Mike's done this on purpose. He's plugging his running channel. Yeah, so everyone, Mike's got a second podcast, Chasing the Finish. Here's a little ending intro from Mike.